Program Director, and on behalf of the Executive Mayor, Councillor Mzwandile Masina, I want to welcome all of you to the city of Ekurhuleni. I want to welcome the Minister, Honorable Fikile Mbalula, the DG, the PRASA Executive, and thank you for choosing Ekurhuleni for this beautiful launch. I also want to acknowledge the MMC of Transport, my colleague, the MMC of Community Safety, the Chief of Police is also here, and I think there is a number of police contingent. But we also want to welcome all of you, the guests, the members of the media, and I think to Ekurhuleni, public transport, is very important. It's not just important for the movement of the people from their homes to their places of work, but it is an economic enabler to us. One of our, or rather drivers for economic development is a program that we call Erythropolis, and public transport is an anchor for the Erythropolis development. And Erythropolis is nothing else but the airport economy, the fact that we host the biggest airport in the country, and there are inherent economic opportunities that comes with this capability, and the fact that we have the major railway line crisscrossing our city, this intermodal facility, and the fact that we've got all the highways crisscrossing our space. There are those economic opportunities in terms of mobility for our people, in terms of mobility for movement of goods. So it is an important topic to drive the growth and development of the city. And as such, a topic like safety of the infrastructure, safety of our communities on the transport infrastructure is one of the key aspects if we are to talk about the success of the Erythropolis, the success of growth and development strategy of our city, so that ultimately we do create the much needed jobs. We also contribute to the economic growth of our city. So we're doing our part, Minister, with the investment in the Harambe, which is the BRT. We're doing our part with the localized transport planning systems, and I think we've shared some few ideas with the executive at the holding room about things that we need to do to collaborate more to ensure that we share strategies in the transport planning, but also we look at how do we collaborate with our local communities to ensure that there is a safety of the rail infrastructure. We are worried because any tampering with the rail infrastructure is inconveniencing our communities, in terms of them getting to their places of work on time, in terms of them participating and contributing in the economic drives that we're all involved in. So we take the program today in a very serious light, and we think it is a right time to actually demonstrate and give confidence to our communities that our government were doing something about railway safety. Minister, you are welcome, and may we have a successful program today. Thank you very much, Program Director.
Thank Thank you very much, MMC. Much appreciated. Ladies and gentlemen, now that we've all been officially welcomed by our generous hosts this morning, you may be wondering why it is that you're here and what we hope to achieve today. So to give us an official word on the purpose of today's event is the Accounting Authority here at PRASA, better known as an AA, as Minister Mbalula has termed it. Mr. Vadisa Masakho, thank you.
Many thanks, Program Director. Let me quickly shoot into the purpose of my statement here. But let me officially greet, starting with the Honourable Minister of Transport in the Republic, Minister Fikile Mbalula, the Director General in the Ministry, Dr. Alekumwemi. We were meant to have the Deputy Minister of Justice and Constitutional Development, Mr. John Jeffrey, because what we're going to launch is a concerted, integrated security plan. Hence, other ministries in the cluster, the security cluster, are part and parcel of this event. I also wish to greet members of the Gauteng Provincial Government, ably represented by my counterpart, interestingly, Mr. William Sachs, who is the CEO of Gauteng Management Agency. I would like to also greet in absentia the Executive Mayor of Ekurhuleni, Councillor Mzwandile Masina, the MMCs accompanying him, the MMC for Finance and Economic Development, who's just welcomed us to the city, the MMC for Transport, as well as the MMC for Community Safety. Lastly, I would like to obviously extend my greetings to members of the media present, because this is by and large a media event. Key stakeholders of PRASA executives and PRASA officials, and of course the audience at large on various media platforms. Firstly, let me take this opportunity to convey a sincere gratitude to the Executive Mayor, again in absentia, but of course through the representatives, for hosting us in your beautiful city of Ekurhuleni at this Rosefield station in Kempton Park. Essentially, and I just want to, before I delve into the purpose, just share with you that throughout my induction program, which by the way I've been with PRASA since the 1st of September, it became very clear that whilst we may have all of the grandest plans around, be it modernization of our infrastructure and or in fact continuing with the provision of rail transport being our key mandate or core mandate, it became very clear to me and colleagues that I work with that all of our efforts are going to be futile if we do not fix asset protection. So in the main, what we're going to be launching is the start of the effort and a concerted effort at it to launch an operational plan that seeks to accelerate and enhance our ability to protect the infrastructure, or rail infrastructure as it were. Now, I just also want to share a little bit of context so that again there's an appreciation of why there is a need to come with such, some may term it an aggressive, but I guess it calls for an aggressive type of approach. Over the past years, including this year 2020, PRASA has had the majority of its key and core supporting assets vandalized and in certain instances stolen, causing very serious reduction in capacity to provide the requisite service, being rail transport for commuters, causing major disruptions to service and drastically diminishing the ability of PRASA to generate revenue. The losses incurred in stolen and vandalized infrastructure, and these are referred to core, key and supporting infrastructure, are estimated at a number of 4 billion rands. And this, by the way, not taking into account the loss in revenue or fair revenue that otherwise we stand to lose and have lost to this end. Certainly the most impacted and affected as a result of the scourge are the commuters who have to bear the brunt of the senseless damage to infrastructure. This in itself, of course, would call for resolute action and immediate attention by the collective at this launch, and of course, throughout the entire system. I must also emphasize that it must be borne that PRASA, by definition, is meant to provide, through its flagship product, Metro Rail, rail transport or commuter rail services to low-income earners, job seekers, and the working class in general, the majority of whom are poor people that live within the metro areas. And because of that, we take it very serious that we have a syndicate of people that have made it their business to ensure that the impoverished really cannot necessarily be attaining, at the very least, some form of decent commuter sales. There are also worrying trends that have been gleaned. Some have been described as senseless theft, senseless vandalism, to an extent of some being described as sabotage. Because if you look at the extent of the damage that we've witnessed, one wonders what the intention is. I won't delve into most of the successes, however, the Minister is going to elaborate quite a lot on those through the efforts that have been garnered to this end, and we intend to continue with those. The lockdown period itself, from level 5 as it were when it started, the hard lockdown as we call it, has not left matters idling for PRASA, where in theft and vandalism cases spiked sharply during that period. These occurrences, interestingly, coincided with the winding up of the security services that we as PRASA resolved to terminate, again on the back of advice by the Office of the Public Protector as well as the Auditor General. To this end, and through the guidance and direction of our government, and in particular our Minister of Transport, Honorable Minister Fikile Mbalula, and in pursuit of the approved integrated security plan that I referred to, that is meant to enhance and accelerate the multidisciplinary approach to security provision and asset protection at AXA, PRASA resolved to self-perform the protection services function to the extent of having advertised positions to employ in the order of 3,100 security officers or protection officers, as we call them within AXA. And this is meant to beef up our own protection services unit. Therefore, I'm proud today to have the Minister presenting, and also for your kind inspection as the media houses, part of the 3,100 security or protection officers that AXA has resolved to employ at PRASA. I apologize. Those that know me know that I come from the other side of the highway. I apologize profusely for that. And I told my team I need to start learning it's PRASA and not AXA. We could have brought more of these protection officers, but again, the COVID-19 regulations would restrict that we would bring quite large numbers. But suffice to confirm that we are on course in attaining the 3,100 number, at least in the next couple of months, as we beef up our intentions. Therefore, I would like to sincerely thank Minister Fikile Mbalula for his continued leadership and support at all requisite levels as we proceed with the process to turn around these passenger rail services of the people of South Africa. Thank you.
Thank you very much, AA. Ladies and gentlemen, before I hand over to the Honourable Minister, let me make a very short observation that I have seen and that I thought is important to mention, especially for purposes of context, as it pertains to the media. A very interesting phenomenon takes place sometimes where in our coverage we don't have the totality of views as to what's happening. So on social media or mainstream media, when we see the minister or the department on the ground, there may be some murmurings that, oh, you know, there's too much media attention, or, you know, he's always on the ground. But then the opposite also happens when the minister is stepping back and works behind the scene to put together security plans to meet with his counterparts. Then there's the perception or the view that no work is being done. So I think it's important to note that the two happen side by side at the Department of Transport, that indeed they are symbiotic and not mutually exclusive, that yes, we're on the ground, but just because you don't see work happening and there's a lot of updates on social media of the vandalism does not necessarily mean that work is not being done. And so today it gives me great pleasure because you're going to see the manifestation of what we've been experiencing at the department, that communication between the departments, those strategic plans that are happening, and the many arrests that we have seen at the moment. So today we get to share with you what we've known we've been doing behind the scenes. So I'm particularly excited about that, but you don't have to take my word for it. Let us hear from the minister himself, who's been spending sleepless nights making sure that this initiative is a resounding success. So Minister Mbalula, the floor is yours, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ayanda. The mayor, in absentia, the mayor apologized because of time constraints. We were supposed to start earlier on. I had to start at cabinet and ask the president to release me. As you know, it's a very important cabinet today. It's Wednesday, and you are also expecting big news this evening from the president. So we started there, and the president released me to come to this important launch of the security plans at PRASA. And so the mayor had to leave because he was with us, but he will come back as we continue with the program. I also want to acknowledge Mr. Vadisa Matseho, the new AA at PRASA, the accounting officer, the man responsible for implementation and overseeing the implementation of some of the plans we'll be talking about going forward. The Director General, Mr. Alec Muyemi, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen of the media, and all executives of PRASA that I've seen here, I can't mention by name. All of you, you are acknowledged. All people who come with the executive mayor, councillors, MMCs present here, you are all acknowledged, all protocol observed. The prevalence of crime in our rail environment has reached alarming levels. Theft and vandalism of critical infrastructure in our railway not only place the lives and livelihoods of those who rely on trains, but also have dire consequences on the economy. And this ravaging of the infrastructure of PRASA and vandalism does not start yesterday. It was simply amplified and accelerated during the period of COVID-19 and the shutdown in our country. But criminals have been in charge here in PRASA. They've been running a show, and then they've been aided by some of the employees inside. It's been an inside job. So it will be incorrect to think that criminals and syndicates who are vandalizing this property have been acting on their own. But some of the enabling points that made it possible for them to have a holiday here and a honeymoon at PRASA is because of our decisions. It's because of our ineptness in relation to running this company of state. Decisions in relation to what we would have decided on security companies, correctly so. Like Badisa said, the public protector decided on the security companies. The AG also took decisions that the people who were appointed here were appointed irregularly. And it meant that if we had to take a decision against those companies, we needed to have a contingency plan to protect the network. So all of that is now under the carpet. The sins of incumbency in the past are with us. And this is what we're doing to address those sins of incumbency. The criminality that ravages our railway environment undermines our efforts to modernize our passenger rail system and deliver a service that is safe, reliable, and affordable. When a cable is stolen, resulting in delays, the worker who loses their job as a result may be your parent or a sibling tomorrow. When track is stolen, resulting in derailment, the commuter who loses their life may be your relative. When stations get vandalized and burnt down, resulting in the shutting down of the line, the people who suffer the consequences are the poor who cannot afford the more expensive taxis and buses to get to work. Have we become a society of heartless criminals who have no regard for human life or the livelihood of those who live from hand to mouth? And in our own research and understanding of what is happening here, we now know that the copper cables are melted in laboratories in our townships and in the surrounding areas, and then they are exported via Mozambique to the Asian market. That's where they are sold. That is big money for these criminal syndicates. Today, as we launch the government's integrated plan, we say enough, it is enough. We're to arrive at this decision because we can't act alone. Because society keeps asking questions. Where are the police? Where is crime intelligence? Where is the intelligence of South Africa to protect the state property, which is PRASA'S? And where are the prosecutors? How are they acting in this regard? Because these people, what they are doing is what is called economic sabotage. The law allows us to charge them with serious economic sabotage. We arrested kids who burned down train sets, about 18 in Cape Town. Who sent those kids? And then they say they were playing, those kids, when they were arrested. And somebody brought them to the fore because he wanted to get a reward. But the real criminals are not arrested. You can't tell me a 14-year-old will be playing with petrol at the station. They burned down 14 sets. It also happened here in Johannesburg. They burned down those sets and all of that. That's what they do. And then they vandalize the network all the time. And then take the copper cables and do whatever that they do and sabotage the operation of the entire network. Every day we are confronted with horrifying images of damage and destruction of our infrastructure that require millions to rehabilitate. Every day we are confronted with images of cables stolen from our environment. Our resolve to turn the tide and throw a book at these criminals has never been greater. We are equal to the challenge and confident that we will turn the tide as we take the war to these criminals. Today is that beginning of that journey. So it's not going to have a positive multiplying effect immediately, but in the long term you will see. And that is why PRASA has taken a decision which we support to in-source security. There are many positives with regard to that. Of course, the unions will gain new members. But the fact of the matter is that we've got people now who are directly accountable to our watch. So, so we will be in a position to monitor the people, their capabilities, and also marshal them into action. We have been working tirelessly with our law enforcement authorities, developing a seamlessly integrated response to this challenge. We are happy that the plan is a product of collaborative effort with the Ministers of Police, Intelligence, Justice and National Prosecuting Authority. There will be no mercy for criminals who think they can continue stealing and vandalizing public assets with impunity. We'll throw the book at them and ensure that they are charged with economic sabotage and rot in jail for many years. The PRASA Integrated Security Plan we are launching today has been in operation since mid-August and has already recorded successes. There's a lot of rotten apples in the system, but there is a lot of goodwill equally. In August, the South African Police Service and PRASA Protection Services arrested 6 men in possession of copper cables and signaling equipment worth over 5.5 million. We are pleased that the number of arrests has been steadily increasing in the past few weeks. We will sustain the pressure to ensure that the long arm of the law reaches every corner where these criminals hide. Our criminal justice system has also been responsive in ensuring that it becomes more difficult for suspects to obtain bail for these crimes. While we may not be able to disclose the detailed aspects of the plan, we assure South Africans that the plan is robust and will bring to book these criminals who are stealing from the poor. Our integrated plan to police and secure the rail infrastructure is anchored on 5 pillars, and that is intelligence gathering, analysis and coordination, proactive approach, combat approach. Combat, it means we've got to be aggressive with criminals who are armed to the teeth in terms of our reaction. Reactive approach through detection. It means before the act of vandalizing could happen, or as it happened, we must have the capability to detect and respond. There are many people in South Africa today who have been even on social network, Minister, daylight, lines have been cut. Can we react to this? And there's never been any response because we did not have the capacity to do so. So, from now onwards, we should be in a position to react to those and bring to book those criminals who are undertaking this mission of vandalizing the network. The 5th aspect is communication and liaison. It's very important. This is an intelligence-driven plan that will enable us to find these criminals whenever they hide, in their homes, in their communities, in their workplaces. We know that we arrest minnows. The real criminals are sitting elsewhere. It's a syndicate. It's big guns, it's big people who are embarking on this particular mission within this network. And we need to bring them down, just like those syndicates and criminals who produce drugs and drug labs in our country and in our backyards. We've got to clamp down and bring them to book. When we went to Heidelberg, we found a lab working with people who are working in PRASA, and they were melting these copper cables, heavy, and then exporting them out of the country. We've got to punish them in a big way in those particular areas and backyards. We have no doubt that our interventions will bring back organized crime syndicates and bring the perpetrators to book. will equally increase the visibility of SAPS and protection services officers at identified hotspots. Similarly, commuters will see more policing operations in the railway environment. And many people will ask, when is the railway network, some of which are not open, when are they opening? They are going to open. And we are going to work on ensuring that we turn the tide. And Badisa and his team will work to build on what has already been done to ensure that we bring stability in this place. We are happy with the mission that has been undertaken to ensure that this place that is characterized as a mess or a broken place, we are able to bring stability from point of governance and all other aspects that are important to ensure that PRASA function as a whole, as an important company that delivers the important service to our people. This place has been failed by human beings, and it will be changed by human beings too, in terms of our movement forward. None of our efforts will yield tangible results if we don't pay closer attention to the scrap metal industry and second-hand dealers. These are the people who create the market for the proceeds of crime. We will uproot those who continue to buy these stolen goods and fuel the illicit market. As we tighten our grip in the fight of this scourge, our strategy calls for prosecution-guided investigations and adherence to the principle of opposing pain. This has already proven to be a success in the recent matter of 2 current and former PRASA employees who were caught with the rail agency's assets worth over 2 million. One of the accused, a current employee, was refused bail. So when I talk about it's an inside job and that the criminals and the syndicates are not working alone, I'm not thumb-sucking. And we find that on a daily basis in terms of the operations throughout the country. Underpinning this plan is our commitment to a compact with communities on the ground. To work with communities is very important in terms of safeguarding and ensuring that the plan in itself becomes a success. We can only succeed if we work closely with communities, who majority of them I need to salute, who have come to the party, giving us information about these crime syndicates and all of that, and with no little response on our part to help and safeguard the network. And the communities play an activist role in protecting the public infrastructure. Our communities must take it upon themselves to expose these criminals' networks within their own ranks. This factor played a role in our decision to recruit the new protection officers from within affected communities where it is possible. And I need to make you aware that before you came here, I'm sure you saw people who were undressing and naked in the streets and protesting about the fact that they could not be absorbed in the new PRASA intake. There's not going to be negotiations about that. You've got to meet the criteria. You can go naked, it's fine. But the fact of the matter, we understand some of our people are unemployed and they need employment. And some of our people have been exploited by these security companies, the people who own these security companies. And they've been exploited over the years. But what we cannot afford here at PRASA is to employ people with criminal record, among others. I'm singling out. There's no way we can do that. And then we've got to vet people as and when they come in. Not when they are already in, but as and when they come in. We've got to do that. So that is a very strict criteria that has actually been implemented in this particular place. So there will be no compromise with regard to that. If you compromise on that, then you compromise on criminality, because this place has been vandalized with us paying billions to security companies who have not helped this place. Cables have been vandalized with security companies present. You go to Park Station, never seen such a thing. A tap broken, water spilling off, but there is security. At Park Station, employed, paid by PRASA. What are the returns? Nothing. It didn't help us at all, because there was no paying attention on the criteria of the people who are employing to get on board in terms of the security network. And I see some people protesting and all of that and so on, and going everywhere with chicken audacity, and saying that the minister must do this, must do. I'm not going to be threatened by people with chicken audacity. What I want here is delivery, Mr. Badisa. I don't want you to come here and become a nice man here and you don't deliver. You must deliver here, Chief. You don't deliver, we'll ship you out. You must work with your team and deliver. The judge has given you the authority. Treasury has sent you here. You are now under our control, okay? But our working together. All right. Before another court case, let me clarify that point. You are here serving PRASA as accounting authority. I'm going to appoint a board. I'm in the process of doing that. And the board will be appointed. But these boards are fine. It's corporate governance. They will slow you down. Big time. Yeah, they will slow you down. They come here with specs like me and you. They start, slow you down big time. So we are appointing boards, but some of the boards have not helped us. They've just interfered with your job. When they come here, they are going to be experts. They want to even overtake you on your job. Board members shift from where they are. They begin to have offices right next door to you. You and your executive, you will never function. Some of these boards, that's what they've been doing. Over 10 years, this place went down under the watchful eye of men and women who are well educated. Some of them are doctors and many others, advocates. You can name them. But PRASA has gone down. So why are you shocked today like we're doing with something new? What we're dealing with today is to fight back and restore this place to its original self. That's what we're doing. And we are not repenting on that, and we are not retreating on that. And we need the support of all people of goodwill to get PRASA back on track. So we've got to work, and I appreciate everybody who has put hands on deck and make it a point that we succeed in this place. And I think Mpondo has done also his part. It has proven also our decisions, as much as the courts have thrown them out. But our decisions were right. We're absolutely right in terms of restoring order here in this place. Now, there's got to be a revolution going on and implementing that. The board will come, will be appointed by cabinet very soon, within the 2 months, and then Mr. Badisa, you are here, you've got to do what you are required to do. But security in this place is a priority, and we can't falter on that. Otherwise, we are just going to join the choir and cry foul about this and that, whereas we've got the authority to do what it is necessary to be done. You've got the department, it will support you, and we don't have to put our foot off the clutch in terms of dealing with some of the challenges that are here. Politics, leave them to me. I'll deal with these ones who are masquerading as politicians and all of that around here. I'm the biggest top dog here, politician. I'm the politician. It's me who must speak politics. When you are an engineer, you are well educated. You know when something is broken, how to fix it. So do that. Politicians who are masquerading as business people, leave them to me. I'll fix them. And don't listen to them. Do what it is right. Do what it is right. Work with everybody in this place, and then let's continue with the good work. And then there is a lot of goodwill here. There's a lot of goodwill in PRASA. There's a lot of people here who are doing great job. executives who are doing a great job. Work with them. Leave into Timkulu zidlulile. We will deal with them in terms of the law. Dr. Timkulu, well-educated man, Timkulu. But the Timkulu, Timkulu wasn't Timkulu, but the guy was just, and I still want that money, by the way, from Timkulu. I want that money from him. And everybody who have defrauded PRASA, we must get that money back. That's what is important. So you've got all our support, and I'm happy about the unveiling of this program we've got here of security plan. It will have its leaks, it will have its own challenges, but we promise South Africans that we have begun a journey to induce in this place a security plan. Of course, media like to ask me, are we now going back to railway police and all of that? Look, legislation will fix that in the long term, whether we want railway police, but what we've got within our authority and power is to employ people who are accountable to us and who we can work with, the police. And we've got railway police here deployed by Minister Fikile and the National Commissioner. So we've agreed in our plan we'll work together. We've got crime intelligence, people coming on board, but we've got to also expand our network so that we're proactive to back up our security. We've got to be combative. In terms of dealing with some of these syndicates, they are aggressive, they are arrogant, they send small kids to do their dirty job. That's what happens. Nyaupe boys, next to the railway, trap and loss, as I believe, because those boys are sent by these criminals. When the police arrest them, those boys are drunk with Nyaupe, and then they don't reveal who sent them. So they give these kids drugs, and then they send them to do their dirty work. These criminals who are doing this work. But we will find them. And this plan will get to the bottom of this. All South Africans must become partners in the protection of the public infrastructure, as the citizens are the real owners of PRASA. To this end, PRASA will work closely with all law enforcement authorities to ensure that we give practical meaning to the social contract with civil society and ensure that the most severe penalties are imposed on those who are arrested. As I conclude, our job now is to implement. We've been talking, we've got plans, we've got everything. We have passed the court process with all its challenges, and we've decided not to appeal because it's a waste of time. We must focus on the ball and implement what it is necessary to be implemented. The challenges that come along the way will be fended off by our capabilities in terms of ensuring that the right thing gets to be done. The board will be appointed, and then we're moving expeditiously to normalization. The bigger challenge is the security, which we need to focus on. But you know that PRASA has not been spending money. When I arrived here with Alec, and they say, Alec, me and you are we're going to steal. Everybody was afraid among these staff members. You can ask them. They were very jittery. The way they would be on a corner, because they were afraid to do all the necessary things in terms of their capacity. So we have money that is unspent. We've got programs that are behind 10 years back that are not being implemented. Corridors are not refurbished. You go to Cape Town, Central Line corridor, 20,000 people out of the way. 20,000 people now cannot use a train to go to work. It's called Central Line, for those who have not been in Cape Town. Central Line corridor. But I've been there with the media. In that Central Line, people have built mikukus there. Itreni kula apun kukula. Now, we have closed that line. I've been discussing with Human Settlement and the Minister of Public Works. I found a solution. We're going to move those people out. We'll make an announcement in Cape Town in the next coming weeks. And then we're building corridors, and then we're building high walls, concrete walls. It's time to work now. not time to play and theorize, because that line by next year must be back. You know, everything has got its challenges. We wanted to subsidize the people of Cape Town with buses and all of that. Somebody was asking me a question about that. There are challenges with regard to that, and we'll relate to them what are the challenges we're facing. We've got Mabupane, where the president broke down with the train. You know Mabupane? I went there with the president early morning. I was not a minister then, I was just ordinary like you. So we went there with President Ramaphosa, with the media who were there. And the train broke down. We arrived there at 3 a.m., but the train arrived at 8 for people who were supposed to be reporting at work at that time. And worse off, we broke down up until 11, and then their day was gone. So that Mabupane line has been run down, so we're fixing it. What is the other one that is functional that we opened? Pienaarsport. So we need to bring it to life like Pienaarsport and all the other lines there. So work in earnest must happen. The President in the State of the Nation announced that Mabupane and the Cape Town corridor will be refurbished. Coronavirus arrived and stalled our plan of doing that. We must now accelerate. President can't go next year and say, we are refurbishing Mabupane. He must talk about progress that have begun. So these things have inconvenienced our people largely in the country in terms of mobility and the working class, big time. Because our people are highly affected. Because in Cape Town, my city, there are challenges in terms of getting and roll out to the townships. We are addressing that with the Cape Metro. We've got challenges in terms of providing buses, and that is why we opened the Southern Line to be operational during this time. We opened 4 lines, so we need to operate all others. But all others, as we capture them back, the bigger challenge is that they've been vandalized, here in Gauteng and Ekurhuleni and everywhere. So we bring in security to protect, vandalize, refurbish, and get the operations of the trains back online. And our vision where we're going with the trains is that the train must become the backbone of transport in South Africa. And you must understand the 6th administration. What is our objective? To move goods and people from road to rail. So it is in our strategic objective to refurbish and upgrade the rail system. That's where we are going. PRASA is still here to stay, and PRASA has got marvelous things to do. There are many things we still have got to do here. This thing can't inconvenience us. We must put it in its place and address security measures and move forward. So I wish to thank everybody, all the ministers and the departments who have come to the party for this security plan in absentia, others because they are caught up in cabinet meetings. They would have been here because we've got a cabinet meeting today, as I have told you at the beginning, very important meeting. And then also law enforcement. From the point of prosecution, I wish to thank them for coming to the party. I want to thank the police, the National Commissioner, and everyone else. And the PRASA management for delivering on this. I know not everybody has been brought to the 3,100. The numbers are still short, but I want all the people to be employed as quick as possible. But we must not bend. I know there are political parties who have written to me, and I'm going to engage them because they think that our rules are too strict in terms of accommodating people. But our rules, you can see, they are basic. What we can't accept here is a criminal. You can't go and fetch a person there and bring him into PRASA in the guise that is a security. That person is going to work against you every day. You go and send him to go and police installations. He's basically working with criminals to get those installations. But our security system must be able to police and detect the criminal element even among ourselves. So we need to beef that up going forward. So I wish to thank you and the departmental staff, the DG, for the support. We've got to put our heads on deck to ensure that this thing becomes sustainable, and we run it with agility to ensure that the network is protected. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Honourable Minister. If I may now call upon the Accounting Officer at the Department of Transport, Director General Alec Mwemi, to give us an official vote of thanks and a closing for us. He'll be quite brief, and then after that, ladies and gentlemen, we will have a drill that we'll be able to experience, so that you know that when we speak of these new recruits, it's not a figment of our imagination, but indeed they do exist. And as the Accounting Authority mentioned earlier, it is just a handful of them because of COVID regulations. You'll be able in due course, I believe, to experience them in their totality. But for now, it's just a handful of them. DG, if you can just uti 1-2 for us in closing, I thank you very much.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Allow me to thank Ms. Ayanda Alipane for directing the program this morning. Ayanda, thank you very much for a job well done to keep to the time and ensure that we complete within the time limits. Also, allow me to thank the MMC for Finance, Dr. Takaza, for welcoming all of us here in Ekurhuleni, knowing that the role Ekurhuleni has to play in the support function of working with us and police and law enforcement in ensuring that the infrastructure that belongs to the public and to everybody is protected becomes critical going forward. And we look forward, Dr. Takaza, to you and the Mayor and the entire Mayoral Committee and Council working with us to achieve that. Let me also take the opportunity to thank the Accounting Authority of PRASA, Stabilisa Maseko. The plan itself will have many role players supporting this, but at the heart and the core of the daily implementation and overseeing that rests on your shoulders and your command structure for the type of personnel we are insourcing today. So good luck with that, but thank you very much for sharing with us your enthusiasm and interest in taking us forward. Let me also thank the Honorable Minister of Transport, Minister Mbalula. Thanks for the leadership and thanks for the insistence on the multi-sectoral plan being put in place and for what we have now witnessed and for the foresight of a fair balance between private security as well as insourcing of internal government capacity within PRASA, and to also pursue this to the logical conclusion of actually corridor protection and asset protection in this sector. Thank you very much, Minister, and thank you for your address today. Let me also thank all the dignitaries who have made it here, the staff of the Department of Transport, the senior managers and executives of PRASA, and all its subsidiaries and divisions. And also let me thank the leadership of the union movement, and a special thank you to the General Secretary of SATAU who has made it here this morning. And let me also thank the ladies and gentlemen of the Fourth Estate, the media who are present here. Thank you for your patience in waiting for us to start this morning. And let's thank you also for your enthusiasm and listening attentively to what we have had to present today, and look forward to your coverage of what we are doing. Let me also thank PRASA'S own staff and security, and of the new recruits to also use the opportunity to congratulate them. Thank you very much for attending this event. Thank you.
Thank you very much, DG. Ladies and gentlemen, we're now going to go to the second and last part of the proceedings for today. The Minister is going to go downstairs, the same place that you came in through those glass doors. That's where he's going to be in order for the drill. I'm going to ask that we please give preference to our journalists and our reporters, our cameramen and women who are here, who are going to also just capture the footage of that. I'm going to ask that we please make our way in an orderly fashion. Please let us not forget social distancing. We are still under lockdown regulations. So as we make our way downstairs, if we can just give preference to Minister Mbalula, as well as the political principals who are here with us, the senior officials and the cameramen and women to also make their way. General, I think if you can lead the way, much appreciated. Thank you very much. Just a quick reminder, ladies and gentlemen, as the Minister had alluded to a little bit earlier, this drill is of the